Hello everyone, Nate Johnson here from Fly Plugins. Welcome to this WP Courseware tutorial video where we will be discussing how to add a non-blocking quiz to your WP Courseware course. This is the main menu for this video. You can click on any of the chapters within this screen to be taken directly to that point in the video. If at any time you need to return to this chapter menu, you can click on the link at the bottom of your screen. You can return here and access different content. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, a non-blocking quiz is going to be what you want to use if you need to place a quiz within your course, but you don't want to require a required passing grade before a student moves on to subsequent content. So this would just be a checkpoint test, checkpoint quiz, something that they could move through. It doesn't matter what the grade is, they're going to be able to move on to sequential content regardless of their score with this quiz. If you need to use a blocking quiz, we have a separate video for that, setting that up. There are quite a few different settings, so if you need a blocking quiz and you need to require passing grade before the student moves on to subsequent content, please do access that video. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to go over to our training courses menu. We have the WP Courseware plugin installed and activated on our WordPress site. We're going to go over to the left-hand side of our screen. We can see we have a training courses tab here. We're going to go ahead and go to Add Quiz Survey. So now we're taken to the Add Quiz Survey screen. We can see that we have some tab settings here that we're going to go through individually. First, we're taken to the General Settings tab. The first field is a required quiz title, and this will be displayed on the front end for your students. So we're going to go ahead and plug in just a generic title here. Next, we have a description, and this will not be displayed to your students. It's optional. It's going to display in the quiz summary screen, which we'll go over later, but we'll go ahead and plug one in here now. Finally, most importantly, on the General Settings tab, we do need to select Quiz Mode Non-Blocking. So I'm going to go ahead and save up our settings here. Now I will go ahead and navigate over to the quiz behavior settings, and with a non-blocking quiz, the only options you have available here are to use paging or not use paging. And we're going to go ahead and select paging. What this means is if you select paging, your students are going to scroll through the quiz questions individually, one at a time. They'll be presented with one within a frame on the screen. They will then navigate to the next question. If you select no paging, the students will be presented with an entire list of all questions which they can answer individually, but they will all be on the page at once. So we're going to go ahead and select paging here. You can see if we do that, we have three sub options that become available. First, we have the ability to allow review before final submission. What that does is once your student answers the final question for the quiz, they'll be presented with a list of all of their answers which are editable, and they will be able to review those before they submit them. Next, we have the ability to allow students to answer later, and you'll see how this functions on the front end shortly, but basically there will be an answer later button. They can skip a question if they don't want to answer it at that time. They can move on to the next, and any questions that they skip will be presented at the very end in the order that they were originally presented. So finally, we have the ability to allow navigation to previous questions. If you want to allow students to navigate both backward and forward through questions, you can do that here. If you deselect this option, they will only be able to move forward through questions. So we're just going to go ahead and check that, and then we will again save our options. So now we'll move on over to the Results Settings tab. As you can see, the first option is required. Do we choose to show answers or not show answers? Obviously, if we don't want to show answers, students will not be able to view correct or incorrect answers. If we choose to show answers after the quiz is submitted, we have several sub options here which we're going to walk through. We have the ability to show the correct answer, meaning it displays once the student's quiz is graded. If we choose to show the answers, we can display the correct answer to the quiz question. We can choose to whether or not we show the student's answer. Next, we can choose whether or not we show the explanation, and we'll go over this shortly once we start adding questions within the Manage Questions tab, but there is an explanation field so that you can explain to the student why the correct answer is the correct answer. Next, we have the ability to mark answers as correct or incorrect with a green check mark for correct answers and a red X for incorrect answers. We can turn that on and off. Finally, we have the ability to leave quiz results available for later viewing, and what this means is if you check this option, if they return to the course unit that the quiz was placed within, once they complete the quiz and it's scored, if they go back to that unit, they can review their results. So if you turn that off, if they go back to the unit that the quiz was placed within, they will not be able to see the results of their quiz score. So we're just going to leave that checked for now. We're going to scroll on down. We also have the ability to show results by tag, and we're going to go over this again shortly when we get into adding questions to our quiz. But with WP Courseware version 3.0 and up, we have the ability to tag questions with certain content areas or topical areas, so we can add tags to questions. We can sort them within the question pool, but what this relates to is whether or not we want to score students based on those tags that we associate with our questions. So I'll check that for now so that we can see what that looks like on the front end. And again, I'm just going to save my settings. Next, we're going to move over to a really neat feature that's been included in WP Courseware version 3.0 and up, the custom feedback messages. And what this allows you to do is select a certain passing mark for a feedback message, and whether or not you want to provide positive or negative feedback, you can customize that and send it out automatically to your students. So let's take a look at it. We're going to go ahead and add a new feedback message. And this is going to bring up MetaBox here, and I'll just fill this out and then explain what I've included within it. Okay, so we can provide each custom feedback message with a description, and this is just for your reference so that you can identify your custom feedback messages and what they're about, what their intention is. It doesn't display on the front end to your students. So in this example, we've simply placed above 50% for tag A. We're going to go down to the question tag. Now, what happens with these custom feedback messages is you can select a question tag, and again, within WP Courseware version 3.0 and up, you have the ability to tag questions based on content or topical areas. So you can provide a feedback message which is unique to that certain tag. So we're going to select tag A. Next, we go down and we can see that we're able to trigger this message either above a certain score for questions related to that tag, or at or below a certain score with questions related to that tag. So let's say you've got 10 questions related to tag A, and again, you're not going to use tag A, you're probably going to use something related to the content of your course, but you want to provide a positive reinforcement message to students who have answered 50% or above with on all questions with that certain question tag. Then you can select that here above 50%, and then you can provide a custom feedback message which is going to be displayed on the front end once their quiz is scored. You can also use at or below. Again, you can select a mark for that. Now, don't get confused. This has nothing to do with the pass or fail for your quiz. These are simply messages that are displayed on the front end if you're using question tags. So we'll go on down, and we've provided a custom feedback message. Great job on tag A. So if they score 50% or above for all questions which have been tagged with tag A, they're going to get a positive reinforcement message. I'm going to scroll down, and I've added another one that's 50% or below for tag B. So I've selected tag B, at or below 50%, And if a student scores at or below 50% for any questions within the quiz related to tag B, they're going to receive a message that says it looks like you're struggling a bit with tag B. Please review the content in Unit 6. And again, you can include whatever you want in here, maybe links to resources where they could study further. So we'll go ahead and save these. Now we're going to head over to the Manage Questions tab at the top of our screen here. And this is where we actually create the quiz and we add questions. So over on the right-hand side of our screen here, we can see that we have 6 different question tools or methods of adding questions to our quiz. We can add a multiple choice question, a true-false question, open-ended, which is fill in the blank or text entry. We can require an assignment or file upload from students for a question. We can also add questions from our question pool. We'll go over that momentarily. And we now have the ability to add randomized question selections. So first, what I'm going to do is go through each of these question types and add them, and we'll walk through the various options. So first, I'm going to add a multiple choice question, and I'll quickly just fill this out and explain the various settings. So as you can see now, I've filled out my multiple choice question, which we just added. The first field up at the top is the question itself, and this is the question that's going to display in your quiz on the front end for your students. Next, we have the ability to add a question image. If we wanted an image to display below the question itself, a diagram or something like that, you could either input the URL to that image in the field here, or you could select an image, use the select image button. You could upload a file from your desktop or select an image from your WordPress media library and simply insert that. So we'll just close that for now. And the next option we have is the ability to randomize answers. So let's say you have 10 answers. You want a pool of 10 answers within this multiple choice question, and you want to display 5 of those randomly each time to sort of vary the presentation of the quiz as students take it. You could select the number of answers from that pool of 10 that you want to display. You could select to display 5 out of your 10 answers, and it will randomize a selection of 5 answers and display those on the front end. Of course, the correct answer that you select is always going to be selected and displayed on the front end. Next, we'll scroll down to the answers. We can see here that we have 3 answers currently. We have answer 1. We have, again, the ability to add an image below the answer or as the answer. We can select a correct answer, so we're just going to select answer 1 as the correct answer for this question. We have answer 2, again, a text entry field for the answer that the student can select. Of course, we could change the correct answer if we needed to. We have, again, the ability to add the image to the answer. We have a third answer here, answer 3. If we need to add additional answers, we can do that simply with the plus button over the side here. Of course, we can also subtract answers. Next, we have a hint. This is an optional field. You can enter text into this hint field, and this will display when the question is presented. So if you wanted to direct your students back to a specific course unit to look for the information to help answer this question, you could provide a hint here. We have the question explanation. This is going to display, it's also optional, this is going to display after the question is answered. And if you've chosen to show this in the results settings options, which we looked over, this explanation will come up letting the student know why the correct answer is the correct answer. So this is a very useful field to be able to use for instruction. Finally, we have the ability to add question tags. So we could add a tag straight from within the question itself and add that to our question. So this will populate. You can also remove these tags. And again, this is going to be very helpful for both the question pool and question randomization, which we'll talk about shortly. Okay, so with our true-false question type, you can see we have the question itself, which is displayed to the students on the front end. Again, we have the ability to add an image if we need to. Pretty simple in terms of the correct answer. It's either true or false. Again, we have the ability to add a hint, which displays before quiz submission, and the ability to add an explanation, which again displays after quiz submission, and finally the question tags, where I've added a simple tag B. Next, I've added an open-ended question within our question tools, and this is a sort of an essay style question. It's basically text entry, and that's going to be delivered to you as the administrator on the back end, which you can review it and then score it. But we'll go through this. We can see that we have our question field again, the question image URL if we need to include an image for this question. Next, we have what size box that we want to use for our answer field, and this is sort of an indicator for you to give to your students on the amount of content that you expect for their response. So we can see we can select a single line of text, a small box, which is about 4 lines, a medium box, which is about 8 lines, and finally a large box, which is about 15 lines of text. And that's going to display on the front end similar to what you're seeing here. So next, again, we have the hint, the explanation, and finally we can add a question tag. Now I've added a file upload question to our quiz, and as you can see within the screen here, we have the question itself. Again, the image, if you need to add an image to the question. Next, we have the permitted file extensions. So any file extension that you place within this field will be accepted. If it's not in this field, the student will receive an error message stating that it's not the correct file type. So you don't need the dot, you just need the file extension itself. So for example, if you want a Microsoft Word document, you provide DOC, PDF, etc. Again, anything not in this list, the student will receive an error message. Finally, again, the hint, the explanation, and the question tag. So before we move on, we can see we have 4 questions within our quiz, and this is becoming a little cumbersome to scroll through everything. We can't quite get a good feel for the questions which are placed within our quiz, so I just want to let you know we now have the ability to compact the questions. If we go over to the right-hand side of our screen here, we can simply click that option, and now we just see the question itself without all of the other options. So that's really helpful if you need to move these questions around, say drag and drop them, or reorder, delete them. You can select that option, do what you need to do, and then expand them again so that you can see the details if you need to. So a new feature that we're really excited about in WP Courseware version 3.0 and forward is that we now have a question pool. So anytime you save a quiz question, it's dumped into a pool which can be recycled, reused later. And it can also be used for randomized question display. So let's go ahead and take a look at the question pool. If we go over to the Training Courses tab and go down to Question Pool on the left-hand side of our WordPress admin screen, we can click on that. And you'll see that now every question that we've created within any WP Courseware quiz is saved here. First, we can filter by tags. So if we needed to only view questions associated with a certain tag, we can do that. We can search our quiz questions if we need to find something with a specific term. We can do that there. We have the ability to sort by question ID, the question itself, or the question type. So we could select one of these and suddenly we have everything sorted by multiple choice, open-ended, etc. Next, we have a field which tells us how many quizzes this question is currently associated with, and you might have manually placed that question within a quiz, or it's part of a random selection based on its tag, but we'll talk about that shortly again. Next, we have the tag itself. You can delete that here if you need to, but it will display. We have the ability to edit the question straight from within the question pool, and if you edit a question from within the question pool, it's going to be globally updated with any of the associated quizzes. So keep in mind that if you edit a question here and it's part of 2 or 3 quizzes, it's going to change globally. Next, we have the ability to delete this question. We can simply click delete and it's gone. So let's scroll on down to the bottom of the screen. This is probably the most important part of the question pool. We have bulk actions for tags. So we can select all of our tags. We can select 1 or 2 or more. And with those questions, we can either add a tag to all of them. So say we want to add tags to every single one of our questions. We could add tag A to everything, and we could click update. And as you can see, now tag A is part of every single question. Next, we have the ability to remove a tag from every single question, or 1 or more. So we could do that here. Finally, we have an option to replace all instances of a tag. So let's say we now want all instances of tag A to be replaced with tag D. We can update that. And now every place that tag A was originally associated with a question, it's now tag D. So those are some bulk options so that you can, once you get your questions into the question pool, you can manually update your tags for sorting, for randomization. When you place randomized quiz questions, keep in mind you do need to manually add this tag from within the question itself. You can't add a tag from the question pool screen. You'll need to do that from Question Edition. So if you need a new tag and you want that to show up under these bulk options here, you need to add a tag to a question first, and then it will display for selection within this screen. So now that we've covered the basics of the question pool, I just want to go back and show you the last 2 quiz tools that we have available. And what I'm going to do is navigate back to our quiz and edit it through the quiz summary screen. So if we scroll back up under the training courses menu, we can go to the quiz summary screen, and we can see that we have the quiz that we've created here, non-blocking quiz 1. In our quiz and survey summary listing screen, we have the quiz ID, which is sortable. We have the quiz title, which is also sortable. We have any associated units, any units that this quiz has been placed within, and we'll go over how to place a quiz within your course unit shortly. We can see the quiz type. This is, of course, a non-blocking quiz. We can see whether or not we've chosen to show our answers, whether or not we have selected paging for this quiz, the number of questions available, and we have finally a couple of actions here. We can edit the quiz and we can delete the quiz. Up at the top of the screen, we can also search for quizzes. If we were looking for something specific, we can find that by filtering it out here. But what I'm going to do is click on Edit, because we are going to go back and return to the Manage Questions tab for our non-blocking quiz that we've created. And what we're going to do is go over these final couple of options here. First, we have the ability to add questions from the entire pool, select individual questions, or we can insert random questions, and we'll go over those options. First, I'm going to go over adding questions from the question pool. If we click on this option, we're presented with a listing of all of the questions within our question pool. And we can see at the top, we can filter this by tag if we need to be able to select questions which are only associated with a certain tag. We can search through the questions in the top of the screen if we need to find a specific question. But most importantly, we have a listing of all of our questions here. We could simply click Add to Quiz, and we can manually add questions into our new quiz. So say you had questions from a previous quiz that you want to add to the new quiz, you can just click this button. They're going to be dropped right into your new quiz. So we'll close that out. Next, we're going to get over to the Add Random Questions screen. We'll click on that. Now we can see that we have a couple of options for randomly adding questions to our quiz from our question pool. First, we can randomly select from the entire question pool, and this is basically adding randomized questions regardless of the tag associated with those questions. This will choose, for example, at this point, 10 questions from our entire question pool, and those will be chosen regardless of the tag associated with them. We can go down to randomly select questions using tags, and what we can do here is select a certain number of questions from each tag. So by default we have 10. Question A, we could add another question, or tag B, excuse me. So we can add as many selections from tags as we need to, and then we can delete those as well. So right now we have one question from tag A, one question from tag B. If we clicked insert random question selection, then we would see a box which displays showing this quiz now shows one question from tag A and tag B. Now when it comes to randomization, if a question is tagged with multiple tags, they will not be duplicated. So if a question had both tag A and tag B, they would be chosen for one and not the other. That's going to be the case when you use randomized question selection. So I'm just going to delete that for now. Now we can see we have our non-blocking quiz set up with 4 questions, one from each of our question types here. And what we need to do next is place this quiz within our WP Courseware course. So what we can do is go over to the Training Courses menu, go down to Training Courses and click on that. We'll be taken to our My Training Courses listing. We're going to go into Beginning PHP here, the first course at the top of our list. We'll go over to Modules, Units, and Quiz Ordering, and we'll click on that button. And we can see that we're taken into a screen which lists all of our modules and our units that we've set up within this course. This is covered in the How to Create a Course playlist. But we're going to go down to the Unassigned Quizzes menu here on the right-hand side of our screen. We'll scroll down to the bottom, and we're going to see our non-blocking quiz that we just created. Now, modules are green, units are blue, and quizzes are red. So what I'm going to do is just take this non-blocking quiz that we've created, and I'm simply going to drag it over to the first unit in our course and place it there. Then I am prompted to save changes to our ordering, and I'm going to do that now. And what that's going to do is place this quiz within the first unit of our course. Now that we've placed our quiz within our course unit, I'm going to navigate to the front end of our site and show you what this looks like to a student. If I go to the front end, I can see our course outline here. And if I go into the first course unit within our course, this is just a test course that we've set up. We can scroll down to the bottom of that unit and see our quiz title, which is non-blocking quiz 1. Since we've chosen to paginate this question, we have the sequence, question 1 of 4. We have the question itself. Since this was a multiple choice question that we first placed, we have our radio button selections here to select and answer. We have our hint. Next, we have the button to answer this question later, since we did choose that within the quiz options. We have our save and next question button. So what I'm going to go ahead and do, just to illustrate the answer later button, is click on that, and we're going to go ahead and move to question 2. Now what will happen is we'll answer the next 3 questions, and we'll be returned to question 1 of 4 at the end, and we'll need to answer that. So I'm just going to go through these and answer all of the questions. Okay, so we've answered all 4 questions within our quiz. We can see that we have now arrived at the review screen, since we did choose in the quiz settings to allow students to review their answers prior to submitting, so they're presented with a list of all of their quiz answers, and these are editable, so they can go through and edit these on the final pass before they submit them. At the very bottom, we can see that we have question 1, which is our multiple choice. We have question 2, which was our true false. Question 3 was our open-ended answer, and again, we can edit that text here. Finally, question 4 was our file upload question. We uploaded a .txt file for this assignment upload. And finally, we can just click Submit Answers. And of course, since this is a non-blocking quiz, it doesn't matter if we've scored correctly or incorrectly on any of these. We are presented with the notice that we have now completed this unit. And of course, based on the settings that we chose within our quiz setup, we can see that we have correct and incorrect marked, of course, with with open-ended and file upload question types. Those are going to be pending until the instructor scores them. We have your answer. We chose to display the student's answer. We chose to display the correct answer. We also chose to display the explanation. So what happens with those open-ended and file upload question types? Well, if we flip back over to the administrative side of our WordPress site here and we hover over the Training Courses tab, we can see we have an orange badge which now is presented next to the Training Courses part of the menu. If we click on that, we can see we get a notice that one quiz requires manual grading. And of course, that's because we have an open-ended question which can't be graded automatically, and also a file upload question type. So from there, we can simply access the Gradebook. We'll click on that. And we see that for one of our students, we have a red manual grade required notice, which links to the student's quiz. So we can click on that, we can scroll down, and we can see that in the top of the screen here, we have two questions which need to be graded. We have a status of awaiting final grade. Of course, our multiple choice and our true-false questions were automatically graded. But if we scroll down, we can see the answer to the open-ended question. So we can select a grade for that here. We can also scroll down and we can see the file upload question type. We can see that a .txt file was uploaded. We can click on that. We can review the student's assignment which was submitted, and then we can assign a grade to that file upload question type as well. Then we can save the changes to our grades. Now we can see a message that the user has passed this quiz. Of course, that's irrelevant, sort of irrelevant with a non-blocking quiz, because the user would be able to move on anyway. But they have been sent an email with their grade for this quiz. So if we refresh this quiz on the front end, we can see that we now have completed this unit, and then we have our results. So those have been added to the top of our quiz answers. We can see that we have a green box here, which now gives us our overall score for the quiz, which is 94%. We have our breakdown by tag, which we chose within our quiz options. We have the ability to download results via PDF. We also have our custom feedback message here. We created a custom feedback message for tag A, and that's displayed right here below our results. If we click on the download results option, we are taken to a PDF which will display our quiz results in a format which we can print or save. So just another useful tool. It replicates all of the details that are within the quiz results screen on the front end, but this is just another useful tool for your students to be able to save these results and view them later. So we'll go back to the quiz results screen on the front end of our website. And of course, since we chose to leave these results available for later viewing, if the student chooses to move on to the next unit, they can navigate back to the original unit and their results will still be available here for them to review. As the instructor, you can always return to the Gradebook screen. So if we go to our training courses listing and access the Gradebook, we can always go back to the student's results. We can see them here. This is our non-blocking quiz 1. The student scored 94%, so we can click on that. We can review the answers. If we return to the Gradebook, we'll click on that button here. We can see we have a couple of options available within the Gradebook. We can export the Gradebook. We also have the ability to email final grades. So if any of your students have completed all of the course, all of the quizzes within the course, you can click on email final grades, and that template is set up within the course settings screen, which we go over in how to set up your WP Courseware course. But you can email out final grades. As you can see in the Gradebook here, the grade sent field would be marked that they have received a final grade. What this does is it goes through, it looks for any student who has completed the course who has not received a final grade. If they have not, they will be sent one. This will be marked the next time you click email final grades, no duplicates will be sent out to students who have already received their final grade. They will go out to any students, again, who have completed the course and all quizzes who have not yet received a final grade. So once you click this, the database is marked that they've received their final grade. They won't get a duplicate. So just another handy feature for you there. Again, within the gradebook, you can filter by students, all students, students who have completed the course, students who are eligible for their final grade, quizzes that need marking, and not related to this, but this is a non-blocking quiz, but if you were using a blocking quiz, you could filter by students who are blocked. So that covers a lot of the detail of how to set up a non-blocking quiz within WP Courseware. If you have any questions, of course, let us know. Hope you've enjoyed this tutorial video, and thank you for watching.